Hurricanes are taking on the New Jersey Devils in their regular season finale tonight. Find out what the Hurricanes need to do and what you can expect from this team on the ice tonight in this episode of Locked On Hurricanes.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Caniacs. I'm your host, Jared Ellis, and you're listening to Locked On Hurricanes on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And as always, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes, myself on Twitter at Jules_96, and rate the show 5 stars on whatever streaming platform you're listening on, and subscribe on YouTube. Now, folks, today is the regular season finale for the Carolina Hurricanes, and it is going to be, I wouldn't say a doozy, but one that'll be interesting to watch because we're taking on the New Jersey Devils tonight. And we talked about this a little bit in yesterday's episode where the Hurricanes they've clinched the division. They got their playoff spot. New Jersey has firmly been out of the playoff race for quite a while now, so not really a whole lot to play for either team. New Jersey can't really spoil anything. The Hurricanes won the division when they're supposed to, so it's not like New Jersey can, knock the Hurricanes off in this game and then the Rangers win the division. Nothing like that can happen in this game. So there's really no stakes in this game. And so that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. But I do still feel that New Jersey is going to be holding a bit of a grudge from their last game on Saturday or this past Saturday, where New Jersey blew a 2-0 lead in the final 5 minutes of the game, and then the Hurricanes end up winning in overtime. So I feel New Jersey, like I said, is going to have a bit of a grudge when it comes to that. Because if I was New Jersey, I would be pretty frustrated about that. So I feel that's going to be something to watch in the game, whether or not we see something like that. And another thing is the Hurricanes, are they going to be resting guys? It appears they will, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. But I think really one of the biggest storylines heading into this game, it isn't even with the Hurricanes. It's Dougie Hamilton's return to Raleigh. The last time the Hurricane or the Devils were in Raleigh, uh, Dougie Hamilton didn't play. So yeah, it's one of those where I feel it'll be a bittersweet game, and because you still have a lot of fans here in Raleigh that are still really big fans of Dougie Hamilton, and guys or folks that think he never should have left, that the Hurricanes should have made a big push to get him or keep him rather. So I think that would be something to keep an eye on. Not necessarily in the fact that I think he's going to go off and have his best game of the season, but it's going to be one that if he is playing, expect there to be a lot of emotions there from the fans, and honestly, probably from guys that played with him here and Dougie himself, because he's one that he was a core piece here and he meant a lot to this franchise and this fan base. So for him, to finally come back, and play, I think it's going to mean a lot. Obviously, it's going to be a video package and all that stuff. But It's gonna be an emotional game, I feel, if he's out there for New Jersey. But, I mentioned, the Hurricanes, potentially resting guys, and the thing is, earlier this morning at morning skate, the lines were all over the place. I expected, the Hurricanes to be resting guys here, considering there was nothing left to play for essentially other than pride, because you've clinched your division, you've clinched playoffs, you've set franchise records with points and wins and all that stuff. So not really a lot left to play for at this point. So I feel that if a guy wants to rest, he can probably get a little bit of rest. And that appears what we're going to be seeing tonight. And because you look at the just some of the stuff that was going on there. Atirante, he was back in the starters crease. I honestly expected that with him backing up Piotr in the last game against New York. I expected him to be back here. Uh, Andrei Svechnikov was not out on the ice today for a morning skate. It's being speculated that that's just for maintenance, similar to what was with Vincent Trocheck a few days ago, just sitting out for maintenance and whatnot. And Jacob Slade was on the top pairing, or no, he wasn't on the top pairing. He was the extra defenseman. So that's going to be interesting there. Should he not play? And Stephen Lawrence was on the top line at practice. So that'll be very, very interesting to see if they stick with that. And Jesperi Kotkanemi was back out on the ice this morning, but the projected lineups have been released, and we will dive into those right after this quick break. Now, folks, it's springtime. The sun is out, the sun is shining, and folks are getting outside. And again, that sun is bright, and you're gonna want some sunglasses. And Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that gives you the features of $200 sunglasses for a fraction of the price. That means polarized lenses, well-constructed durable frames, and premium high-end finishes. Also, something you won't find anywhere else is Shady Rays Insane Protection Program. Shady Ray includes loss and broken protection on every pair. They will send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happened. Give them a try, and if you don't love them, you'll pay nothing. It's as simple as that, folks. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays. Exclusively for our listeners, head to shadyrays.com and use code LOCKED ON to get 50% off two or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's code locked on for their best deal of the season. 50% off two or more pairs of sunglasses of Shady Rays is backed by over 150,000 five-star reviews. Now, the projected lineup have been announced for tonight, given these are always subject to change. So, take that with a bit of a grain of salt. Yeah, because we never know what's going to happen. But we are expected to see Jacob Slavin, Brind'amour, and Andrei Svechnikov sit out for this game. And the Slavin and Svech ones, that's really not a surprise to me, considering they weren't out there for morning skate. So I'm not really surprised there. And again, all this stuff is just for maintenance. These guys aren't hurt. They're not going to miss the playoffs. And this is just a maintenance thing. So you look at your top line. This is going to be an interesting one because, as I said, Stephen Lawrence, he was up there on the top line at morning skate. And then you got him along with Sebastian Aho and Seth Jarvis. That's going to be interesting to see how Stevie does up there. Obviously, we know Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis. We know they're going to do good together. We know that. But Stephen Lawrence up there, that's going to be an interesting one to watch because when the Hurricanes have moved, bottom six guys up to the top line, it's had some mixed results. Jordan Martin, he's made his way up there some, and there's been some good games with him, but there's also been some that are really duds. And then you look at last season when Brock McGinn was going on his streak and getting up there on that top line and really just continuing to go off. You got something like that that just works really, really well. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Obviously, this likely isn't going to be any lines, even as we continue to go through these lines that round. These are gonna change up and come playoff time. And second line, you got Max Domi, Vincent Trocek, and Tavo Teravainen. Domi on the second line, that worries me a little bit. He has improved as of late, but again, just as a whole, since he's been here, he hasn't been really great. And when he was up on that second line before, I was not impressed. So this will be an interesting one to see how it goes. Again, he has improved as of late, so maybe that can continue into this game on that second line, and maybe we see a bit more from him. And I'm all for that, but again, in the past games where he's been on that second line, hasn't been the greatest. Third line is gonna be an interesting one because you got Nina Niederreiter, Derek Stepan, and Jesper Foss. With this one, I honestly expect it to be like that. What game was it? I think it was the game in Arizona where Jordan Stahl sat out and Niederreiter and Foss still stepped it up and were fantastic in that game. And, I've said all season long that the third line has been our best line. And with that game there, said that, I want those two guys to still, produce the way they have been and maybe step it up even a little bit more now that Jordan Stahl was out. And the same applies for this game, honestly. I want to see those guys continue to do what they've been doing all season long, even if you are going to have Derek Stepan centering you rather than Jordan Stahl. And I fully think that they can do that because they've shown that they can do it already. And on the fourth line, we have Jordan Martinook, Jesperi Kotkanemi, and Martin Necas. Really, no surprises there. That's one where we've seen that line many times. So that's what I'm fine with that line. That's one that kind of is what it is, I guess you would say. We've seen that one before. We kind of know what to expect. On the defensive side of things, that's where things get a little wonky on the top pairing. We have Ian Cole and Tony DeAngelo. If you guys remember back at the start of the season, that was a pairing that we had. But on the third pairing, Ethan Bear was getting those first pairing minutes with Jacob Slavin, and that since changed up. So it'll be interesting to see how that pairing works out there because that is one we have seen before and was pretty good, but it was getting third pairing minutes, not top pairing minutes. So we'll see how that goes tonight. Second pairing is staying the same. Brady Shea, Brett Pesci. We know that one's going to be outstanding. Third pairing is the one that worries me. This is a pairing I do not like. Is Brendan Smith and Ethan Bear. I don't like this pairing. I don't think it's went well when we have used it. So we'll see how it goes tonight. Pretty much. Again, I'm not a fan of that pairing. I think when that one's been put out there, it those guys, no disrespect to them, but they haven't played well together, and I'm not a fan of it. So hopefully, hopefully we see something different tonight. I really hope we do, but that's one I don't have high hopes for. I do not have high hopes for that pairing right there. And then, of course, starting goalie is expected to be Antti Ranta. Again, really no surprises there. Frick Anderson is still listed as an injury. Hopefully, he's good to go come playoff time, but we'll just have to wait and see. It is rumored that he'll be ready to go come playoff time, but we'll just have to wait and see. And scratches, of course, again, are Jacob Slavin, Jordan Stahl, and Andrei Sveshkov. And all this is subject to change. Maybe we see that third pairing get broken up, or Brady Shea and Brett Pesci get moved up to the top pairing, or whatever. It's going to be interesting to see just how this game plays out. It is a very different lineup, and I do think that is going to play a factor into this game for better or worse. And we will talk more about that and the key to victory right after this quick break. Now, folks, Playoff time is right around the corner. It'll be here before we know it. And betonline.net is your number one source for all of your betting stats and sports info. Find all of the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs, hockey playoffs, and the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. So head over to their website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now, folks, I was talking about the lineup uh, really playing a factor into this game here tonight, and I do think that is going to be one that, on one hand, could catch New Jersey off guard. And yeah, they were probably planning it for guys test, but to see like first line Steven Lawrence, yeah, and stuff like that, yeah, and then Ian Cole and Tony DeAngelo, a pairing that we haven't seen since like the first quarter of the season. Stuff like that. I think that's going to be interesting to see how that affects the game. I think that is something that could take New Jersey off guard, but I think it's also something that New Jersey could take advantage of because, yes, the Hurricanes do tend to blend lines and pairings during games really often. And, yeah, those lines and pairings aren't set in stone. So I I think that chemistry, honestly, could play a factor into this game, and that's honestly my biggest key to victory for here is to have good chemistry. Given all these guys, yeah, they played 81 games together at this point. This is 82. So it's not that they don't have chemistry, but again, Steven Lawrence isn't on the first line, you know? And yeah, he may be out on the ice with those guys for a little bit here and there. But again, yeah, those are his line mates tonight. And I think that they are going to have chemistry. It's just, is it going to be good enough chemistry? I know that sounds a little harsh, but these pairings and lines, aren't necessarily ones that guys are used to. So outside of Brady Shea and Brett Pesci in that fourth line, a lot of these are new look lines and pairings. So, or ones that we haven't seen in quite a while. So that is something that I want the Hurricanes to be able to overcome quickly and get out to a hot start. Don't have a repeat of the last game where it's not until like the last 5 minutes where you have any signs of life. And get out there and take care of business early. Don't dig yourself in a hole and you got to dig yourself out of it uh late in the game. Let's not have that happen again. Let's get out to a hot start and do what we got to do. And another thing I really want to see tonight is the power play. I want to see the power play really produce tonight. I know it's going to be a different look power play, uh, because we have, guys sitting out. But, we have it's only 3 guys sitting out. The majority of guys are still gonna have. So I feel that power play is one that really needs to step up tonight. Not in the fact that, it's been, like the league's worst and whatnot, but playoffs start a few days from now. I wanna see that power play in the season on a good game. I wanna see them net a power play goal or 2, given it's all gonna depend on what New Jersey does as well as far as taking penalties. But I wanna see the Hurricanes power play really step it up and have a good game. I know the penalty kill will. I know that. So I'm not worried about that. But I wanna see the power play have a really good game tonight and end the season on a high note. That's really what I wanna see tonight. Again, also, hot start, don't, wait till the very end of the game to show up, Like, again, going back to that last game, you didn't it was pretty much New Jersey's game until the last 5 minutes. So, I wanna see them get out to a hot start, not have a repeat of that last game because that was very scary. And given, yes, now divisions clinched and all that stuff, so the stakes aren't there. But again, I want to see them get out to. I don't want to end the season on a bad note. Again, just like the power play, and then first and foremost, I want to see the Hurricanes have good chemistry. These are some new lines and new pairings. I want to see some good chemistry out there and see these guys, put some pucks in the back of the net. That's really what I want to see from these guys. And be a fun game. I do. It's the last game of the season. It's fan appreciation night. Folks are starting tailgating 9 hours before the game. So I think it's going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be a rowdy one. And again, as I said at the beginning of the episode, I think it may be a bit of an emotional one if Dougie Hamilton is out there playing for the New Jersey Devils. I fully expect him to, but again, it's the last game of the season. Do they rest guys? We are. Does New Jersey? We'll just have to wait and see. But in the meantime, make sure you follow Locked On Hurricanes on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes. Myself on Twitter at Jared Ellis _96. And rate the show 5 stars on whatever streaming platform you're listening on and subscribe on YouTube. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode where we recap this game against the New Jersey Devils.